Yo, what up guys, and welcome back for another video. Today I will be showing you guys a comprehensive Spellweaver guide, a Force Spellweaver guide. So we're not going to be transitioning out of Force Spellweaver in this board. So we're not going to be doing some Karma shenanigans into Heimerdinger, Ivern, Volleyball. None of that. I'll be showing you guys the tried and tested Force Spellweaver board. All of the variations, I'll be showing you every mid-game opener that I use. I play this board a lot. I'll show you every mid-game opener that I look for currently, and every mid-game transition from those early boards into what our eventual late-game board is going to look like what we want our late-game board to look like. So I'll be showing you guys all that stuff. So let's just dig into it. So I might be looking at my other monitor a lot. That's just where my notes are. So just all right. Our starting item for this build is going to be Tier Rod Belt Glove. That is going to be our item priority. If you're trying to force the build, it's going to be Tier Rod Belt Glove. Like if you really want to play this build, that is it. And maybe it's Tier Rod Glove Belts, but Belt is really good in this board. If you're willing to play Flex, but you are like wanting to play AP variation, then it's probably Tier Belt Rod Glove. The only reason why I'm saying Belt is so high on this is because Belt is really good in Spellweaver build, because Spellweaver is kind of a stall comp. And just having a lot of health, like Warmong is one of the best items. You want to win early games, so Sunfire is good. You're going to be playing around Brawlers, so that's going to be good. And ZZ Rot is insane in this board because you're kind of playing like a stall board. But if you really just want to play this, then it's Tier Rod Belt Glove or Tier Rod Glove Belts. I usually go for Tier Start if I actually want to play this, or like, you know, I have an affinity for the AP variation, at least on the current patch that I'm playing this on. So I go for that start. We're going to take you through some of the openers here, some item holders. We're eventually wanting to carry Vel'koz with a side carry brand. So you'll item hold Vel'koz items either on Ziggs, Brand, Victor, Bane. If you're low rolling, you can't get any of the Spellweavers early game. Like, you know, she can hold AP items. Callista can hold like Sojin, stuff like that. And then obviously you'll just have your tanks hold the tank items for your late game tanks like Garen, Taric, Rel, stuff like that. Okay, let's take you through some of these openers. So this first opener I'm showing you here is just an example if you've got a 2 Brawler, 2 Spellweaver build. I get this opener all the time. Maybe not Brand, maybe not these items, but just something that looks like this. You just have the 2 Spellweaver, you have the 2 Brawlers. We don't have any like insane synergies right here, but the reason why this is like a good opener is because when you get this type of opener, you're hopefully pushing into kind of like an Abom Brawler mid game. And so once you hit your Nunu, it gives you a lot more options. So yeah, we can do this. Obviously, this is like I took a tier start and I got best case scenario, and I just like put blue buff Jewel Gauntlet on my brand. You know, like that's insane. So like if you get items set up like this, obviously we would do this. One thing I do want to say real quick, Brand is the side carry of this build. You can primary carry Brand, and I do play certain versions of that build, but it's never what I want to do. But do not be afraid to slam Vel'koz item onto Brand. You know what I mean? Like if you're playing this and you're like, I do not want to play Brand carry, don't put blue buff on Brand and then put Jeweled Gauntlet on this guy. Also, if you have both of these units, do not put blue buff on Ziggs and Jeweled Gauntlet on Ziggs if you have a Brand, because it is so insane the spike that you get from these items. If you don't want this Jeweled Gauntlet on your Brand later, and you might be able to get carry items for both of them. If you don't want this Jeweled Gauntlet, just remake them. So do not be afraid to slam high value items on Brand, on Victor, on Zyra, on Ziggs. Do not be afraid, because just remake them for your Vel'koz later in the game. All right, so this is what this will look like, and let's show you some of the transitions out of this. So this is what like your early game would look like, and then you slowly add Spellweavers, Brawlers, all that good stuff. So what can your mid game board look like if you're playing this? So your mid game board can look like this. This isn't really the board that I want, but if you get to, what I mean by mid game is once you're at 4-1 and you're level 7 and you roll it down. Once you're rolling it down on 7, I will roll until I hit a board that looks like this if I'm playing the Brawler variation early game, or the next board that I'll show you. And so you'll just roll until you hit a board that looks like this. 4 Brawler, 3 Abomination, 2 Spellweaver. And you want to have a lot of 2 stars in this. You don't have to 2-star this guy. You don't have to 2-star this guy. But you want to make sure most of your front line is 2-starred. Hopefully you have a 2-star Brand by now to be a big spike. And then just put the items where you need to put them, right? So if you have tank items, put them on Nunu. You know, like it's going to be great on Nunu, especially if you're playing Abom. If you have a spare item, you can toss on Rise for your Abom. That's going to be great. Your carry items that you were playing, you want them on Vel'koz now. Unless it's a blue buff, then toss your blue buff on Brand. It helps them ramp. You can also just toss your blue buff on Rise if you really want to, but definitely want to have it on Brand, the Spellweaver variation. It helps you ramp up for your Vel'koz a lot quicker. But just put the items where they need to go. At this point, this is when you would like remake some stuff if you need to get to where you need to go. All right, the other mid game transition board that you could have, and this is like you're rolling down on 7. This is the ideal. This is the ideal Abom Brawler Spellweaver variation. I will sometimes prefer the other board if I already have all those 2-star brawlers. If you already have those 2-star brawlers, whenever you first start your roll down, then don't transition out of brawlers mid game. Just hold them mid game. But you will need to transition out of brawlers stage 5, or you will lose the game. I have tested, guys. By the way, when I say a lot of these things, like you will lose the game, or like you need to have a board that looks like this, I'm assuming that you're playing against players at your skill level. And then obviously, if you go down low enough, people will not punish you at all, you know, like in the ladder. But you should always play like you're playing against good players. It's best for learning. Maybe not best for results, but it's definitely going to be best for learning. Play like you're playing against best players. But if you play like you're playing against best players and you're doing it correctly, it will give you the best results. Okay, so this is another mid-game board that you could have with that same brawler opener. And so, yeah, we just want to make sure we have the carry items on our Vel'koz. By the way, guys, if you're not hitting your Vel'koz on your roll down, don't freak out. You can just play whoever you were carrying still. And you'll be okay. It's definitely not going to be as strong, but you'll be okay until you can get to stage 5 to reliably hit your Vel'koz, right? And so same thing, just put some tank items on this guy, transition your carry items to your carries, right? And then if you have an extra item, you can toss on a Rise, but if not, it's fine because we probably want to play Rise later in the game. All right, let me show you another opener that is on a similar build path to this one. So this is like if you high roll Draconics, right? Like you just get a Zyra from a box, and then you hit set and you hit Udyr. You can run this, put your items wherever you want to. If you want to itemize Zyra, you can. But the second I hit a Brand and another Zyra, I would just remake and put carry items on Brand. Unless it's a Sojin, because Brand can't really use Sojin. Doesn't really do anything. But yeah, you can item hold her and I would just sell. The way that I play Draconic in this build, I don't actually commit to Draconic if I actually want to play 4 Spellweaver and play around Vel'koz. You totally can if you want to. But I think it's just overly complicated and it's just like not going to spike at the right times you need to. I have just not had good experiences playing this build. I use Draconic as just a way to get econ, and like I love just like starting Draconic, losing the first couple of rounds, getting the exact item I want. I'm super rich, and then I just spike on 6 and 7 and I win the entire mid game, transition to a late game board. That's usually how I use Draconic. So if you get an opener like this, your mid game will still look the same. You will not be playing Draconic mid game. If you're wanting to play this 4 Spellweaver board and you're not committing to Draconic, anytime you're not committing to Draconic, my rule of thumb is I do not play Draconic stage 4. So stage 4, if I'm playing Draconic, I'm going 8th. This is assuming you're playing at your skill level. But if I'm playing Draconic stage 4 and I'm not committing to that build, I'm going 8th. Unless I am like so turbo strong or just have infinite health and infinite econ, I'm able to fast 8, then I will still play at stage 4 and I'll transition out on level 8. But in general, if I'm playing this as an opener, I will and I want to play the 4 Spellweaver build, and I have the items to play it, I will transition out stage 4 unless I'm just turbo high roll. But I usually just use this as a way to get my items. If you're running this board, you will still use the same transition. You'll transition into 4 Brawlers into this, or into 4 Spellweaver, 2 Brawler, 3 Abom. You'll still make the same transition. Now let's talk about a different board that makes a different transition into the mid game. So it's going to be Hellion opener. So if you get a Hellion opener, I have just discovered playing Hellion opener for 4 Spellweaver. I didn't just discover playing Hellion opener. You do not play it how you've been accustomed to playing Hellion if you have practiced the static Shiv version of this into Heimerdinger, into all that stuff. That board is out right now at the time of me making this video, but we're talking about Spellweavers anyways. So you'll just item stack Ziggs or item stack whoever. I just put a Victor in here just to show you guys, like, it doesn't have to be Brand. You itemize in the early game. You can itemize Ziggs. You can itemize Victor, just whoever you have the best items for. Victor is insane with these items too. So if you want to itemize Victor, it's great. You know, have a blast. But since we're playing Hellion, I'll just itemize our Ziggs. And then so the goal of playing Hellion here is when you play Hellion, it's just a strong opener. The most important units are Ziggs and Kled, because we're going to be transitioning into a Cavalier build in the mid game. Okay, so the expendable unit here is Poppy. Expendable unit is Poppy, and Victor. Obviously, you can play any Spellweaver, and so you don't have to play Poppy. You can play Lulu. You can play Kennen or whatever. But in general, I just end up playing this unit, or I play Kennen usually. And so what you want to do with this is you want to slowly, as you level, transition out of Hellions and just keep adding Cavaliers or Spellweavers. So early game, I like to just play Hellions, add Cavaliers as I find them, and then level 6, I think about pivoting out of this to get more Spellweavers. And maybe level 6, you're playing like 3 Cavalier, 3 Hellion, 2 Spellweaver. Or maybe you're playing 4 Spellweaver, 2 Cavalier if they're both 2-star. You know, you can also play around Forgottens, right? You can transition out of the Ziggs and you can play Kled, Hecarim, Victor. Maybe you're carrying Victor and you add a Forgotten, right? So there's a lot of outs here, but the idea is you're playing this Hellion and you're transitioning to Spellweaver Cavalier. Whatever your strongest board looks like at like 5 and 6, just make it. Don't think about it too much. But I'll show you what you want your board to look like. What you want your board to look like once you actually do your roll down on 7. And yeah, so this is what your mid game transition will look like. If you have that opener that I just showed you guys, the Hellion Cavalier opener, it'll look something like this. So you want to have 4 Spellweaver and 3 Cavalier. If you can't get the Spellweavers online and you like hit Rel and stuff, then you can play 4 Cavalier, 2 Spellweaver, and just add something like Forgotten. Maybe you're still carrying your Victor. And this is what you want to have mid game. And so before I talk too deeply about this board, basically what I'm talking about when I say you want to have this board mid game, I will roll until I have a board that looks like this or similar to this, or those 2 other Brawler Abom boards I just showed you. I will make sure on stage 4 I roll until I hit a board that kind of looks like that. Doesn't mean I have to hit Vel'Koz. Doesn't mean I have to hit Rel. But something like this, right? I could still be carrying this and I could have a Ziggs in my board and this could still be a Kled. But I want to make sure like all my units, like if I'm playing a weaker version of that, I want to make sure all of them are 2-starred. You just need to have something that's going to be strong mid-game because at least at the time you're making this video, mid-game is one of the most important parts of the game, honestly. So you want to have something like this mid-game if you're playing that Cavalier variation, and you want to have items over on, transition your items to your carries. You can stack tank items on this Hecarim. It's great. Tank items are great on Hecarim. And this is what your mid-game board will look like this. Okay, now I'm going to show you what you want what the actual goal of this comp, like what is the goal comp you want to get to, okay? And if you're new to the game and you're watching this video, like this is going to look kind of like overwhelming to you, but don't fret, I'll give you an out. Okay, this is what it looks like. It's going to look like something like this. It doesn't have to be these units, by the way, but it's going to look like something like this. Garen, super OP in this build. Tarek, super strong unit. Rel gives you redeemed. Crazy strong frontliner. Syndra gives you redeemed. Crazy strong unit, especially in the meta where, 4 out of... I mean, honestly, it's like 6 out of 8 boards will have an assassin. The only person who doesn't have an assassin on their board is going to be the other Spellweaver player, right? Or an Abom player or something, because all the AD builds run Diana and Viego if they hit. All of the... and then also there's an assassin build. The Dragon Slayer board runs Diana and then Viego if you hit. So Syndra just gives you a lot of value. If you want to run Lux and you want to play around Mystics, maybe you just like are in a random lobby where there's like 6 Vel'Koz players, then you can not play this, you can not play Tarek, and you can just play some other stuff. Okay, if you're overwhelmed by this board, and I'm going to dive deep into this board and talk about why I'm selecting these units and talk about a little bit positioning stuff. And if you're overwhelmed by this board, and like maybe you've like gotten really good at playing that like Cavalier variation. If you don't want your endgame board to look like this, and this is just too hard for you to get, or maybe you're too poor, you can just upgrade current board. So what I mean by that, if you're playing that Cavalier variation, you had 3 Cavalier, 4 Spellweaver, well, you just go to 8 and add your Kled back in. Now you have 4 Cavalier, 4 Spellweaver. Strong board. It's not gonna be as strong as this board, but if you're overwhelmed by having to transition to this, you can totally run that, and especially if you're in a lower elo, that board will still be strong on stage 5. But like if I'm super poor, I'll keep a 4 Cavalier board the whole game. But my end goal always is to transition to something that looks like this when I'm playing 4 Spellweaver. So let's talk about why this board. Garen is just so OP. Okay, Garen, I feel like I don't need to explain why Garen is strong in this board, and I'm not going to. Garen is strong. You just sell Nunu and put the items on Garen when you find Garen. Okay? If you don't find Garen, you can put these items on Tarek, you can put them on Rel, you do whatever. What I usually do is Nautilus is my space holder for Garen. So I'd be running Nautilus here instead of Garen until I hit Garen. The problem with that is I will not item hold Nautilus. I refuse to item hold Nautilus on stage 5. I would never item hold Nautilus on stage 5. If I don't hit Garen on my roll down, I'm just going to assume I'm not playing Garen. And I would put these items on either Tarek or on Rel. Okay? I know what you're thinking. If you think Tarek is a terrible unit, Tarek, like, isn't like, okay, Tarek is a weird unit. Like, if he casts, it can be absolutely game changing. But if he doesn't cast, it's, you know, he's useless, right? So that's why you just put items on him. If you put items on him, he casts, he's crazy, he's super strong. So I like to always try to get a tier item on him or try to get like a deep tank on him, like Warmogs or something. But if I have Garen, I'm always gonna put the items on Garen first. But Tarek is great with items, so don't sleep on Tarek. Also, Tarek, whenever he ults, he gives you Ironclad or Iron Chad, whatever you want to say. He gives you Iron Chad. So for everybody he hit. So I never run Nautilus if I have a 2-star Tarek. Unless I'm just waiting on my Garen. So just a heads up, if you really don't like Tarek and you want to play Nautilus, you can play it. Just do whatever you want. Cool. And if you're playing the Abom board and you know you don't know how to make this transition, you can just run 4 Abom late game. It's definitely not as strong. In higher elo, you will definitely get punished if you don't transition to a stronger board with stronger units. But that is an option for you. That is an out. So let's talk about some stuff. Let's talk about some of these items' importance. Vel'Koz, you just need Sojin and AP. Third item doesn't matter. I find that in this specific board, he has so much damage from Redeemed and Spellweaver. I like third item being defensive. If you wanted to be more damage, hey man, it's all good. Chalice, amazing in this build. It's also really good to like put on Syndra so she casts a little bit quicker. You want to make sure that you don't have full mana on Syndra, which is 3 tiers. Never have 3 tiers on Syndra, because what will happen is she will cast and she will throw a frontliner, and then the backliner will get onto your team, or the assassin will get on your team, and Syndra won't cast before, most of the time, you know, before the Diana casts most of the time, if she already casts at the beginning. So make sure not to have 3 tiers on her. So don't put blue buff on her. Don't do that if you have this. Okay, cool. So yeah, so we're just gonna be running these 4 Spellweavers. Brand is a great second carry. If you played like the Vel'Koz, Karma, Invoker board, think of Brand kind of like Karma. He's like budget Karma, but he can actually get a lot of stuff done. Morello, if you have a Morello, it's great in this board. You can put a Morello on a lot of people. If you want it on Zyra, I like it on Zyra a lot, because people will position away. You know, people will position on this side, you know, to dodge your Vel'Koz. You know, I mean, you can move your Vel'Koz every round if you want to, like I do a lot of times, but if they do end up dodging your Vel'Koz, I like to be able to Morello them, especially if they're full stacking like it's a Sin lobby. You get a lot of value, right? Or at least you're going to get Morello on the unit that matters, which is the unit they use to dodge your Vel'Koz. They're going to get Morello'd, and then hopefully Brand can finish her off, Syndra can finish them off. Vel'Koz eventually will rotate over to them and finish them off. So I like it. I like it on her. You can totally put it on Brand because it reapplies tick. Think of like Cassio set 3. You know, it reapplies the Morello per tick. It's also great on Garen. You can just Morello the entire front line when you solo like this, and all that good stuff. Let's talk a little bit about positioning. So the reason why I have Vel'Koz in this little nook right here, you can put Victor or Brand right here. I like Brand here because I like Victor to be more prone to like being jumped on, you know, because he casts super fast. He gets a shield on my front line, then he dies. And I'm like, okay, cool. He cast one time. Thank you, Brand, or thank you, Victor. Very cool. And then if like they don't have people who are going to dive us, people aren't going to hook my guy, then Brand's just like in a really safe spot, and he can get a lot of damage off too, you know. But in the fights that they have a lot of corner threat, like you're versus a Katarina player, I don't want my Vel'Koz in the corner. They have a Viego jumping back here to pants grab me. I don't want my guy to be pants grabbed, so I want this guy to be pants grabbed. I want my Vel'Koz as close to my Syndra as possible, because Syndra will protect my Vel'Koz. So that's why I'm positioning this little nook right here. I hardly ever corner position on this, at least the current meta that we're playing in. I hardly ever corner position because it is just not safe for my Vel'Koz. So position this little nook like this, and just have Zyra on the opposite side so you have duo threat. If you want to sweat positioning, you just swap this every round. Make sure your rel is always on opposite side so that it'll do like this. The reason I'm positioning like this is because, and I have my Garen up here, so units surround my Garen, he gets maximum value. If you're versus a Trundle player, you might consider having your rel get trundled. So put your rel up here to get trundled so that your Garen doesn't get trundled. You might want to consider that so you can get more value out of your Garen and get less value out of your rel, because Garen will be more important if he's itemized, right? But the key thing is put your Vel'Koz in this nook. Make sure that your rel is on opposite side of your Vel'Koz, and just make sure your Zyra is on opposite side, and then just reposition your team per round, whatever you want to do. Some bonus stuff real quick. ZZ Rot's amazing in this build because it is a stall build. I already talked about that though.
Spat is OP in this build. Look how many synergies we are close to having, right? Especially mid game and stuff like that. Like I could have redeem Spat. You know, I could redeem this guy. Like 4 redeemed is not even bad. You know what I mean? Spellweaver Spat, insane. You can Spellweaver this guy. It's crazy on Tarek. It's crazy on Garen. Super strong. So you can get Spellweaver Spat. You can even play like a Forgotten mid game and just like keep your Cavaliers, like keep your Hecarim and play Cavaliers. You know what I mean? You could have like, you know, you could play around that. You know, you could get Ironclad Spat. You could get Cavalier Spat and play mid game. You know, and like commit to your Cavaliers and you don't have to play Kled, and then your board's actually kind of strong, right? So you can get Dawnbringer Spat for late game. You know, like it's just so good. Abomination Spat. You can commit to 4. You can play 5 Abom, or you can play 4 Abom without playing Callista. Like there's just so many good spats. If I can get a spat in this build, I will go for it unless like there's a crucial item from Carousel that hard spikes my build. But anyway, guys, that is going to be the complete guide to playing Spellweavers. I hope you guys like it, and if you do, like the video, do all the good stuff. I stream every day. I stream every day on Twitch, so if you guys are into this, then you can follow me on Twitch. I'll be taking a couple days off right now for being out of town, but for the most part, I stream nearly every day. So anyways, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Hope you guys learned something from the video. Hope you're doing well wherever you are, and I hope you have a good night and a good day. See you guys later. Bye-bye. See ya.